Alright, so I spent a couple more hours cutting away at the inside of this gas tank, and it kind of fits on here. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's good enough to where we can still get the seat on here. Now, the front of the seat is sitting about an inch higher than it would normally. I couldn't get the gas tank any lower than this, but I think it's fine. It's the very front of the seat, so I don't think we're gonna notice. Now, in the last video of this project, I was pondering, should I still add these to this side and the side over here? And I was originally thinking of, why don't I just do it? You know, it'll make it to where this thing still looks like a normal dirt bike from a distance. But I kind of like the look of it without it. I think it looks skinnier and cleaner without these things, and these are mainly there to funnel air into the radiators. Well, we don't have radiators anymore, so we don't need these. So I'm kind of thinking of just, we don't need these, let's not add them. Now, next thing we need to do is we need to figure out where the controller is going on the frame. Now, a perfect spot is the old air box. We don't have an air filter anymore, and the controller fits in here perfectly. We just need to secure it in here, so therefore it's not rattling around. Also, I do need to seal this off. This is the giant opening that normally where the air filter goes, and this has a big boot that goes on this to the carburetor, so we need to seal this off, so therefore water doesn't get in here and everything. Now, I think it'd be a smart idea to drill a hole on the bottom of this battery box, so in case any water gets in here, we want to make sure that it can drain out. Alright, I think I'm finally done working on figuring out where all the little things are going to go, like the charging port, the reverse switch. We got the gas tank mounts installed, we got the display installed, the headlights installed, and now the battery box is now finally finished, as well as the controller is mounted. I also drilled the holes for the wires to go into the original airbox, whatever you want to call it now. Now, I think it's finally time to start working on getting the battery in the battery box, finalizing that, and then we can start working on wiring this thing up. Perfect. Look at that. I first need to verify that it's spinning in the right direction. So I didn't say any of this in the last couple of videos of this project, but actually, the controller that this motor came with, for some reason, it wasn't letting me tune any of the settings. Nothing was working. I kept trying a bunch of things. It just wouldn't work. So actually, this controller is off of the big 250 electric dirt bike, the one with the 12,000 watt motor, just because the other controller that came with this thing, for some reason, it was not letting me change any of the settings. So, alright, so it's spinning backwards, which is no problem because we do this, boom, boom, it's as easy as that. Nice. Alright. So there is a new noise to this. What the heck is it? So there's a new noise to the engine, to the motor, I should say. It's not an engine, it's a motor. So I have spent a couple hours now trying to solve the issue that we were having 2 videos ago with this project when this electric motor was on the shifter cart. If you guys remember that, basically the issue that an issue we were having is anytime I was stationary and ready to accelerate, I would hit the throttle a little bit and it would kind of just slam into gear. It was very clunky and very just, it wasn't a smooth acceleration. So basically, the reason that is the way that this transmission is because of how much play there is in the transmission, and because the electric motor is basically just off, it makes it to where the transmission can kind of roll back a little bit, and then when you hit the throttle, it kind of slams into gear, slams forward. So now the reason that isn't an issue with the original engine is because the crankshaft is always spinning, therefore making it to where there's always preload on the transmission. So my idea to solve that was simply to, let's just copy that. Let's just make it to where there's always preload on the transmission. All we have to do is make this to where the motor is always on, always trying to spin a tiny little bit. And what I did was I changed the settings in this controller to make it to where, because you can change how sensitive the throttle is. Originally the throttle voltage is 0.11. I changed it to 0.8. Making it to where even though you're not touching the throttle, the motor is on a tiny little bit and always trying to rotate. And that seemed to solve the issue. It made it to where the motor is always on, and I actually, what I did was I added this kill switch for the motor, so therefore if you stop it, if you want to turn the motor off without turning off the whole bike, you just flip the switch, turns off the motor, which is basically, actually that switch is hooked up to the brake switch, and it was working. It was making it to where I was blipping the throttle, it wasn't slamming into gear, and I would be able to just, from a dead stop, be able to just, hit the throttle real hard, and it was working because there's always preload on the transmission. But, unfortunately, this controller has a safety feature, making it to where if you turn the bike off and turn it back on, if you have the throttle turned a little bit, it will go into a safety mode, and it will start beeping, and it won't do anything, simply because it's a good thing that, because you don't want to be accidentally, have the throttle twist a little bit, you turn it on, and then just immediately takes off. But that means that anytime I would turn it off and turn it back on, because it thinks the throttle is turned a little bit, because the motor's trying to spin, it would go into that safety feature and just start beeping and getting mad at me, making it to where I'd have to convert it back to 1.1 volts instead of 0.8 volts, and for it to start working again. So it was solving the issue, but then anytime I would turn it off and turn it back on, the safety feature would kick in, and it wasn't working anymore. So unfortunately, my thoughts on how to solve it kind of works, but it's not really working. So, and I know a lot of you guys were saying in the last couple videos of this project, what if I just make it to where I turn down the sensitivity of the throttle and make it to where I can't, it's not an instant torque. With this electric motor, it's more of a gradual acceleration. I could do that, but that's turning down the power, and I don't want to do that. I want to turn the power up. I want to have this thing more powerful, not less powerful. That's the whole point of electric, is in how insanely powerful they are with that initial torque. That's why these things are so cool, in my opinion. So I don't want to turn it down to solve this issue. But the more I've been playing around with it, the more I'm realizing it's not as clunky as it was on the shifter cart. I think it's because it's a bigger tire and there's gear reduction versus on the shifter cart it was 1-to-1 gearing. So I kind of wanted to just test it and see how bad it is. If it's not terrible, I may just leave it and tell anybody that wants to try this thing, just like, hey, just be easy on the throttle when you're taking off. Don't snap the throttle real hard. Also, I do want to say this. There is a new noise in this motor that I'm not 100% sure if I heard this. I don't think I heard this originally. So I think it's a new noise. It's a new ticking noise. So I'm not sure what that is, but I'm hoping, hopefully it's nothing serious. Anyway, like I said in the last video, I ordered new sprockets for this thing to change the gearing because I want this thing to be a little bit faster. The 2 sprockets I ordered for the motor haven't gotten here yet, but the sprocket for the rear tire has. So let's change that, and then maybe we can take this thing up the streets and just see what this thing can do. that's neutral. This is first gear. That looks a little bit better. We're still really not going to be able to tell if the gearing is any better until we actually drive this thing. So let's put the plastics back on and take it up the street and see what this thing can do. Yeah, it's still really clunky. When I hit the throttle, it kind of just slams into gear, but it's not as violent as when it was on the shifter cart. So maybe it's not going to be as bad on this. Hopefully not. So this switch right here is reverse. So forward is obviously forward. And then you flip it backwards, and then that is reverse. It's always kind of annoying how unbalanced dirt bike tires are. I mean, look at how much this thing's jumping up and down. First gear burnouts. Nice. Smoky. Man, it's totally destroying. So I do need new tires. The tires on here are heavily... They're heavily dry rotted, so I don't feel bad about destroying these tires. Yeah, it stinks in here. I gotta let it air out. Alright, let's see what this thing can do. We're not going to go very far. I want to see what this thing drives like and what the gearing is like. And once I get to the first stop sign, I'm going to turn on my speedometer app. I kind of want to see what the top speed of this thing is. This thing's wild.
It's, yeah, definitely not the quietest electric dirt bike I've built. Definitely the loudest. All right, enough stalling. Here we go. Alright, let me turn on my speedometer app. Alright, so max is 0. So here we go to turn it off. Alright, here goes nothing. Come on, go! Ow. Ow. There we go. 6 speed. Okay, that did not feel that fast. 45? Are you kidding me? 45.3. Huh. And it's in high range, so also keep in mind the battery's not full, so maybe that's skewing the results, but yeah, we got to get this thing faster. That is not fast enough. It almost seems like it's the motor, actually. It's just not very, definitely doesn't feel like full power at all. It's on high, so. All right, let's get back. I need to figure out something with the settings. This is not letting it get to full power or full RPM. Man, this thing screams, and not in a fast way. In a very loud way. Reverse is definitely nice to have, even though it's not very, not very torquey. It's definitely not full power in reverse. Okay, so something is not allowing this thing to go. That was nowhere near max full speed or full RPM. You can just hear that it's not. I mean, it could be that the battery is half full. That could be it. So yeah, let me just charge this thing up. I wish this thing had a kickstand. This thing needs a kickstand next.
Alright, while I'm waiting for the battery to finish charging, I put a kickstand on this thing. So I know I probably could have bought one, but it's a lot cheaper just to make one. Hopefully it's strong enough. Alright, it is done charging. It's been charging for about 3 hours now. It is 1 bar below full power. I think that's good enough. What was that noise?
Alright, this time I'm wearing glasses. So it sounds like it's spinning faster, but we won't know until we take it up the street and see what it can do. So it's getting a little dark, but oh well. Woo. Alright, here goes nothing. Alright, hopefully this thing's faster than 45. Feels like it's got more power. Feels a tad bit faster. That's 6th gear. Full speed. Oh, it's screaming. Come on. Come on, baby. Alright, that was full throttle. That felt faster. We'll see if it is. 47? This thing's not fast enough. That is not fast enough. Come on, really? I wonder if I should put the original controller back on. That one kind of seemed faster. Or maybe it was just because it was on a shifter cart. I mean, 47, there's a decent speed for a dirt bike, but I mean, it's way slower than what this thing was stock, which is a shame. But man, I was hoping this thing would go like 60 or something. I mean, that's the whole point of gears, is to go faster than what it can normally do without gears. That's the whole point of adding 6 gears, was to go faster. Also, this thing does not have enough power to wheelie. I mean, it may if I really pushed it, but it's not like snap neck torque like the YZ85 is. This thing's a bit of a disappointment. Ooh, don't drop it. That felt faster. Maybe it was just because I was going downhill. Yeah, this thing does not have enough power to wheelie at all. Reverse. Whoa. Reverse is really cool to have. So, we gained a whole 2 miles an hour faster. Yeah, what's wrong with this thing?
So it may not be very fast, but at least it can do a smoky burnout. We saw it do a burnout in first. I want to see what it looks like in sixth. Alright, that is first. I think this is third or fourth. Nice. Alright, so that is sixth gear. Ooh. Will it do it? It still can do it. This thing's cool. So it can at least do some type of burnout. It doesn't really like to do it in higher gears. It kind of just wants to take off, but it'll do it. It'll at least do something. So I'm not going to say that I'm disappointed with this thing. What I will say is I'm excited to see what this thing can do once I figure out how to get a little bit more power and speed out of this electric motor, because I'll be honest, I was kind of hoping for a little bit better results with this thing. I mean, it is fun, it is working, it's shifting gears, it is a lot of fun to ride. It's just, I was kind of hoping for wheelies in first and second gear and having this thing terrifyingly fast in sixth gear. Did we get that? Not yet. I want to figure out how to get more speed and power out of this electric motor. I'm going to start looking into seeing if I can get a 96 volt battery. Right now the battery in here is a 72 volt battery. Maybe if I get a 96 volt, maybe it'll be faster and more power and everything. So I will look into all that. Now, I did order new tires for this thing because these tires are heavily dried and cracked real bad. So I did order new tires that will hopefully get here soon, as well as new brake pads. But as far as that, this thing is pretty much done. I do need to paint the frame, but that's kind of after we test everything and make sure everything works. But now, I do know that a top speed test isn't really a true test for a dirt bike. The true test is going to be taking this thing off-roading, actually dirt bike riding. So hopefully soon, once I get the new tires, new brake pads for this thing, hopefully soon I'll be able to actually take this thing somewhere and really see what this thing can do off-roading. But I guess for now, a top speed test is what I can do in this video right now. But yeah, this thing is a lot of fun. It is really cool shifting gears, having the transmission and everything. It is a lot of fun. Anyway, guess that's it for this video. Thank y'all for watching. I'll see ya in the next video.